I just wanted to cover each and every points. It's a, you can say, the base of AI, or you can say the agentic AI, where we must understand these three or four terms, because once you start designing or working on any of the agentic or generative AI solutions, it's very important to understand the basic, the at conceptual level, and the coding part will also cover it in the second half of this sessions. Okay, so here if you see on the screen, there are three terms. Typically we have a four terms: AI agent, agentic AI, and agentic workflows. I touched these points yesterday, but I just wanted to explore today that how far you can understand these topics, because each topics has their own meanings. And again, whenever you work on your a capstone project, it will help you also to define your few projects related to AI agent, agentic AI, or if you people work on this agentic workflows. The reason being, why to cover this one is to, again, because I'm trying to cover things from the industry perspective. Because once you uh, once you start floating a resume, again, if you have these, the keywords, agentic AI, workflows, a few clouds, a few frameworks, then again it will help you also, to easily, get shortlisted. So I'm just covering the both areas so that nothing, nothing can keep you left behind. Okay. So again, coming to this, the AI agent part. So the things that are very much important here is, let me just see. Yeah. So if you see this, the first slide, where we are talking about this AI agent. Okay. So it's again a single autonomous unit, you can say. There are three terms if you see on the screen. So the first term is, if you see, the perceive. Let me discuss this perceive part. So whenever you see anything in your surrounding, you perceive first, right? And then you put some reasonings. If something that you feel like I had to act or I have to act, then you try to act. Okay. So typically, the you can say the systems that are built on the agentic or AI agent that are built on these three components. The base component would be this perceive, reasoning, and action, the acting part. Okay. So, so these basic things you have to understand. So whenever you work on any of the agent or agentic AI, uh, solutions, I would say, or any huge case. So you will see these three. There would be something where there comes a perception part, there would be some reasoning part, and also there would be some, the action part, that how your system will take actions. So this is the building block, I would say, at atomic levels. Okay. So if you see on the right side, we have few things. So the something which are important, even I discussed yesterday, it's LLM. Okay. So if you see the core part of any of the agent or any of the GenAI applications, you will see the LLM. It's a brain, right? For example, if someone reviews your brain, you will not work, right? So the same thing happens with this agentic AI or AI agent systems, where the brain is the something that are have the highest value, I would say. Okay, because it's the area where all the reasoning happens, the planning, decisions, everything happens. Okay, so the LLM, once I say LLM, so it's a foundation models. For example, GPT 4.1, other day I was just showing, the OpenAI 4.1, 4.2, okay, mini, GPT mini, O mini, right? So these are the LLMs, these are the foundation, I would say, that acts as a reasoning or putting reasoning to the agentic AI systems. It's a brain. You cannot remove brain from your body. If someone removes your brain from the body, I mean, you will no longer exist. So that is why this brain is the main, you can say, the building block of agentic AI systems, right? Then comes the reasoning part, I would say. So once you say reasoning, it is connected to the LLM only. Okay. Then we have this role and goal. So once I say role and goal, right? So we all have certain goals in our life, right? So there should be some of the role we are trying to achieve, and there are certain goals. We will achieve it. But once we have a brain, then only we can achieve any of the goals. Otherwise, how? We can't, because the brain is the central area where the action would also happen once brain gives the signal, right? So once we have this persona, then there is one more word, persona, that shapes the behavior, right? So let's say my persona is like, right now I'm acting as a trainer. Okay. So I'll act as a, the trainer. So I'll behave like that. So my behavior is shaped because my goal is to teach. Okay. My role is as a trainer. Okay. So it's a defined persona to me. Maybe once I'm out from this session, maybe I'm another person. So my persona will change. The same thing happens with the LLM. How? So in the chat GPT, if you ask, you act as a, medical assistant, you act as a, let's say, web assistant. So you are giving persona, right? Different persona to single person. And then he or she is acting according to that. Okay. That is the role and goal. So whenever you create any of the generative or agentic AI systems, it's the persona that is important. So how persona comes into picture? It's like, again, through the prompt engineering. There is something called, you might have in the previous sessions, some speakers might have touched this system prompt, user prompt, how you can write a good prompt, right? So again, they had given you an idea of how to put a role and goal, like a defining persona, right? That will shapes the behavior of agentic AI systems. And then we have this tool. Okay. Other day I was just saying that LLM plus tool equal to AI agent. So tool is something, a kind of, again, there are different way of tool calling. So when I say tools, majority of the time it's again an API's call. Okay. So it's invoked to act on the world. So this word is important. So because LLM has a limited informations. So you need someone who can help, right? So you need a tools. So I had given you other day one example of, let's say, the weather APIs. Okay, if restaurant wants to integrate into their agentic AI systems, the weather APIs, it will, I mean, again, fetch the current weather informations and will update the, you can say, the restaurant menu as per the weather, right? So it will be again act as a agentic AI systems, because now you have a tool integrated to LLM, right? So it means now LLM had only, the informations which are within the boundary of cutoff date, because every single LLMs comes with a cutoff date, right? So now if you have additional informations in the form of tools, then the LLM will have updated or rich informations, even the real-time informations, this LLM or the agentic AI systems will start giving you, right? So again, the word that I have used, even the sentences yesterday that I have used, was giving some legs and wings to, this LLM, giving this space, that is why you see that the LLM are more updated. Agentic AI, that is why people are adopting agentic AI systems. The reason is that they have this now tool calling facilities. Now they have updated informations. Now they have real-time informations. But once you have this RAG or generative AI systems, it's somehow like outdated systems. We only have a data through the legacy data. Only have, the responses from your internal documents data. That is why people are shifting from Gen AI to agentic AI. Okay. And then we have something called memory. Okay. So memory means, again, remembering the past conversations. Maybe it's a short term or long term memory. Okay. So it's like again, because when you design any of the virtual assistant, so every single time you start conversations, they also record your past conversations also, that you have had earlier conversation, these all things. So now I'm giving you information based on your past conversations, right? So also this memory gives a kind of human like, the responses, because once you have interaction with a lot of persons, you remember few. And if you meet again, you start conversations from after that, right? It's not like again you greet and then you start conversations, right? It's not like that, okay? So that is why these are the some of the component of AI agent or agentic AI. So whenever you design or work on your capstone project, it will help you also to shape, just to check that whether it has LLM or not, whether I have given some persona to my LLM or not. Is there any tool calling, or whether it is remembering the past conversations or not. Okay. So this is the base, I would say, agentic AI or AI agent base, where a lot of use cases are now solved, right? So yeah, this is the use case. Okay. If anyone has any questions, you can ask. Okay. So let me proceed. Clear drawings, every single thing, right? So clear my drawings. Okay. Let me cross. Let me move to next 50 slide. So now, once we have this, now, as I was just talking about this AI agent, now agentic AI, right? So this is also important, we get confused between this AI agent and agentic AI. Okay. So, I mean, it's again a broader paradigms, systems composed of one or more agents. So I was just saying about, other day that when we have multiple agents talking to each other, okay, for example, there are three agents, multi-agenting systems. So in that case, we'll call it as a agentic AI, because we need some orchestrator. We need, one of the agents that works, possibly they can work parallelly. So in the coming slides, I'll tell you that how this agentic AI systems typically work in a sequence, maybe in a hierarchical manner, or sometime in asynchronous manner. Okay. So if you see how it is different from this traditional and Gen AI, if you see this one, so Gen AI basically responds a single prompt. So for example, the Chat GPT, if you ask, so they respond only to your single prompt, then you give another prompt, right? It's like a first it completes, then second it's complete, right? The responses are like that. So it's a more of a Gen AI, okay? And there are also something called, the stateless. It means they do not have a memory, okay? Means now if you see this Chat GPT, they also remembers, because now they have some tool calling facilities and this persistent memory as well, right? So that is why they also remember your conversations, and based on that they give you the informations, the responses. So now it is not like you can say that you can say more of a stateless now. But earlier, whatever we had this generative AI applications, so that was a stateless. They had a limited, or they were not storing any context. So that is why it was called as a stateless. Okay. And the agentic AI systems is, if you see, so the term plan, decide, and act, these terms are typically used. And it is again autonomous in nature. Okay. So when we have a multiple steps goals, for example, let's say it's not like a single goal agentic AI systems typically achieve. Okay. For example, there would be some multiple steps goals. So whenever you give prompt to agentic AI systems, first it breaks into sub goals, you can say. Okay. It divides whatever you write it. Okay. And then they starts working on that. For example, if you say that the plan a trip of Manali and book a ticket from, let's say, Chennai to Manali, and also find some restaurant. So there would be three tasks, let's say, three goals. So they will divide it and they will look internally that whether is there any tool or any tool calling is there or not, so that I can act. For that they will reach out to some tools. So if they have some of the tools, they can easily plan, act. That can be achieved. Planning, decisions and acting, that can be done, okay, autonomously. So this is the part of agentic AI. Okay, we'll have some plans and then they will adapt the actions. Means, for example, if you are, let's say, the flight is not available for that day, maybe they can change the day and then they can schedule it. Okay, so that has that autonomy. Okay, and also let's say the restaurant that you are looking for is full. So if they will also check that is there any alternate restaurant that they are available and offering the same menu, right? So they can also act on your behalf, right? So that we call it as a intelligent actions, autonomous actions for the agentic AI systems. And they also know how and when to use tools. The one example that I have given you right now, for example, it doesn't think like a linear that if restaurant or let's say ticket is not available, they will sit idle. No, they will look for the alternatives. So that is why it is saying how and when to use, they know it. Agentic AI tools, systems knows when to use these tools. Okay. And also they maintain this memory, means past conversations across all the steps. So whatever you had conversations, they will store it in some of the database. For example, in Azure, we have a Cosmos DB. Okay, in that they typically stores these conversations. Okay, and for the output, if there are some further reasonings and actions, they will take. So that is why it makes agentic AI system autonomous. It doesn't sit idle, but also put their own logics. If something goes wrong, it's not like if and else. Okay, it's not like a fixed path they follow. So that is why it makes a difference between generative AI and agentic AI, because generative AI sits idle. If they find it the logic doesn't fit in their purview, they will sit idle. But agentic AI will look for the alternatives because they have this tool calling facilities. Based on that tool calling, they can take decisions. Okay, they will not sit on the the logic of F and Ls. If something is not available, they look for alternatives. Okay, so that is why this adapt action is there, this word adaptation. They can adapt as per the situations. Okay, that is why it makes, there is a huge difference between Gen AI and agentic AI. Okay, so now let me cross it. Okay, so now there are three things here that we wanted to talk. The first one was AI agent. We had our discussions. Right now, agentic AI. Now, what is agentic workflows? Okay. So, I mean, how we'll say that it's a workflows when we have some, flows in a sequence, fixed path when we follow it. Okay. So then we'll say that it's agentic workflows. Okay. It's again an orchestration layer. So whenever we have a multiple agents, okay, then we need this orchestration layer. Because when there are multiple people working in an organization, we need some of your boss, team lead, right? So orchestration or orchestrator work as a team lead. Okay. So they guide you that what task you have to do. Otherwise, everybody will work in their, silos. So that can create a havoc in the organizations, right? So that is why this orchestration layer is important when we have multiple agents talking to each other. Okay, but when it comes to workflows, they will have some of the fixed path. Okay, then we call it as a workflows. But why agentic? They also take some autonomous actions. So that is why agentic word is there. The reason being is that when they start taking actions, okay. So there would be some of the sequential tasks. You might have seen a lot of times there are tasks which are sequential in nature. So output of one will serve as input of other, right? So here it is saying, if you see this one again, so let's say, so it is saying complete each agent complete its task, then hands off output as an input to the next. Got it? So each agent will execute their task. For example, the other day I was just showing this wave crawler. So the output of wave crawler will act as a input to the summarizer agent, isn't it? Right? So they are giving their output once they have done their task. They give this output to other agent and then they will start performing it. If let's say the first agent stuck somewhere, other agent will not execute. They will wait for the first agent to execute. So this is sequential. Okay. There is also issue with the sequential, but if you know the path is fixed, we have to follow this agentic workflows. Okay. Second one is hierarchical. So, I mean, where we have to delegate the task, we have to divide the task, subtask to workers, and then we have to come up with the result. So, something called synthesizing the result. Okay. So, let's say there are two persons having the same skills. Okay. So, and the task is one. So, you will divide the task, right? Because they are more efficient and more eligible to do that task. So for in hierarchical task, we have this ability, or you can say the advantage of subdividing or delegating the task to other agents. So in that case, we look for this hierarchical agent. Whether, the booking the ticket and booking this, the restaurant menu can used as a hierarchical one. Okay. Because both are equally eligible to perform those tasks. Okay. And the third one, we have this collaborative or parallel, you can say the agentic workflows. So when we are going to use these parallel workflows, right? For example, if you want your agent to work concurrently in asynchronous manner, so in that case, you'll have this, you have to use this collaborative or parallel, agentic workflows, right? So you don't want one agent to sit idle, okay? Second and third, that they have to wait for the output from one and then they will start executing, right? The wait part you are just eliminating, and we are giving complete autonomy to all the agents so that they can work, parallelly, concurrently. So that is the beauty of this parallel agentic workflows. The reason is that it's very fast because every single agent will work in their pace without disturbing others, because there would not be any dependency. Okay. And they will share the same goal. Okay. So this agent will work separately. This agent will work separately. This agent will work separately, and they will try to achieve the single goal. So it's a sharing the single goal. So there are the three workflows that's important, and you'll see that, even if you work on your capstone project, try to take one of the workflows and try to achieve a few of the use cases. Okay, whether if you're interested in hierarchical, go with that, or a parallel. Okay, but in the industry, you'll see the combination of all three. It's not like that people go with this parallel only, because there is a sequential task where we have some of the fixed task, the path that you have to achieve. Other day, I was giving the example of, let's say, document upload to S3 bucket, let's say, or blob storage. It's just a storage, right? So they will follow the fixed path. There is no other path, right? So in that case, you'll use the sequential manner, right? Sequential workflows you have to have in your systems, right? So this is how this agentic workflows, you have to, use it whenever you work on any of the project. Okay. So there are three things that I have explained. One is AI agent, agentic AI, and agentic workflows. Okay. So now, where I was, okay. So now coming to next topic. So when it comes to Crew AI, that I was just talking about, right? So there was few components, the blocks that I touched yesterday during this lab session. But there's something that I just wanted to describe, that whenever you work on this Crew AI framework, okay, so there are a few components, okay. and that you must understand first. Okay. So for example, agent. So it's like, as it says, it's like a LLM driven worker with a goal and backstory. So I had shown you yesterday that in the Python script there was some goal was defined, and even they had this backstory. Backstory means you are giving context to your agent. If you are not providing context, they will not execute the task. That is why the context engineering, apart from this prompt engineering, is important, because if they have, let's say, if I have some of the backstories, I can execute a task very well. If I don't have backstory, how can I perform, right? So that is why this backstory is more important, giving context to agent to execute, right? Then comes second building block for the CrewAI is a task, right? So what task they are going to execute? Okay. So if you see in the definition, it's saying discrete unit of work with a descriptions and expected output. So what task you are going to give to the CrewAI? Okay. So that needs to be detailed out here. Okay. So you'll give them some of the descriptions and the output also. So you'll say that if you do this, this will happen, or something like that. So giving a task is like giving some of the examples to the agent. Okay. So that is why we are making a systems robust, right? So this task is also one of the element that will help, right? Also to design your entire, Crew AI systems. Now, the third component is again tool. So when I say tool, okay. So once you say tools, I was just talking about, tools could be your functions or APIs, but majority of the time you will see tool as a one of, I would say, APIs. Okay. So whenever you see, because APIs are lightweight and it's very fast. So that is why it's easy to integrate into AI systems. So API integrations to AI systems is important, right? So tool calling is giving extra, you can say, informations to LLMs. Okay. Either it could be some of the wave search, you want to do some kind of a search, or you want to access some of the file which are not available, or some of the custom logic that you just want to have those implemented as a tool. Okay. So this tool is, I would say, after this agent, tool is one of the critical component of Crew AI or any of the agentic systems, this tool calling. Okay. Then we have a crew, it's like an orchestrator. Okay. So it contains groups, agent, and task. It contains everything. It's coming on top of everything, agent, task, tools, and process. So crew is like on top of everything. So it acts as a orchestrator. It gives a node to execute the entire task. Okay. Now we have something called process. It's like orchestration strategy. So what a strategy has to follow. In the previous slide, we had a sequential, hierarchical, and this parallel, how you want your agentic AI system to perform. It's like a strategy layer, which process you want to follow, right? So process is very much important. Even in your organizations, college, school, there is some process, right? So which process you want to follow. The same thing happens with this agentic AI, where whether you want to go with the sequential, hierarchical, or parallel processing, right? This is a kind of a strategy that Crew AI will follow. Okay. So these are the layers uh, that you must understand before working on any of the, I would say, the agentic AI systems. If you are using Crew AI, okay, Crew AI is, I would say, one of the framework which gives you, easy access to work on few of the use cases in agentic AI. Okay. So now. Coming to this, there are something which within this Crew AI. Okay. So now let's say I was just discussing about this uh, few things. Yesterday there was some wave search. If you can remember that wave search, there was fire crawl that I have used as a wave search. Okay. So wave search was scrapping. So a scrapper was there. So this tool I have used. Okay. And let's say in the Crew AI, okay, there are three agents. So a crew wires agent to task. Each agent draws on its own tool, memory, LLM to execute its assignment. Let's say you have created within this crew. It's a again a top level, orchestrator, I would say crew. Within that, we are defining this research agent, writer agent, or reviewer agent. Let's say you people are working on this use case where you have created three agents: researcher agent, writer agent, and reviewer agent. So researcher agent will, what researcher agent will do? They will gather data. Let's say you have some research paper. Okay, you people are working on, let's say, some of the research topics. So can you create a researcher agent? Yes. So you'll use this wave search agent, and the task of this wave search, this researcher agent would be to gather, research data from the internet. Let's say for that you have to rely on some of the tools, and that tool is called wave search. That will scrap informations. Then we have some writer agent. Okay, so once you have this research articles, their informations, content, then you will draft the report. Okay, and for drafting the report, you need some input output files. Also, how to write this report, we need some of the style guide. So these are the tools that you need to access when you activate this writer agent. Okay, now once you have these two agents have their informations, you need a reviewer agent. So you'll review that the researcher agent, the informations that was collected by the researcher agent and the writer agent has any, you can say, substance or not. Okay. So you'll use this reviewer agent. So they will review this both agent. Okay. So you'll use this grammar tool and critique LLM to critique whatever they have gathered through this researcher agent and writer agent. Okay. So it's very important whenever you work on any of, agentic AI systems, if you have something which are very critical use cases. So reviewer agent will help you also, right? To review the output. Because again, we are using an LLMs. So LLM can hallucinate. So is there any way that the LLM, the another LLM can use as a, reviewer agent? Okay, the critique, they can do some kind of a critique on whatever output I have gathered. Okay, so we'll see in a lot of agents working as a, reviewer agent for other. Okay, so one agent will act as a, you can say, slave, other one act as a master, something like this. Okay, so this is how you can use a multiple agent within this CrewAI framework. Okay, and these tools, whatever you are seeing on this screen, are more important because agentic AI is nothing. If I have to summarize it, I would say it's again a tool calling. That's all in my language. LLM plus tool calling is agentic AI. Okay. So if you know how to work on some of the APIs, how to integrate APIs in AI systems, you can easily work on agentic AI. Okay. Because we just need to know that the how we can call these tools, how we can create some of the APIs and integrate into AI systems. Okay. So tool calling is more important. Other things are like, you can understand, but the tool calling that makes Gen AI different from the agentic AI. Because agentic AI has autonomy today due to tool calling. Otherwise, they will also act as another Gen AI project. Okay, got it? Any question, if anyone has, you can put in. Okay. Now, let's go to next slide. Now there is some, end-to-end flow, and also we'll see this one lab after, you know, uh, the second half of this session, that how we can, imply these, multiple agent using this CrewAI and how it will execute our task. Okay. So now, how typically this, the flow looks like when you work on the architecture of the CrewAI. So we'll see that the flow, how things happens, right? So there is something called kickoff. So in the Python, we'll see this crew.kickoff. So they will initiate, this crew that, okay, you just start taking off. Okay, so that is why this kickoff word is used. Then we have this task assignment. So, whatever logics or prompt you have put in, it will routes to the task and it will navigate it to the agents. And agent will put some reasonings. Okay, so agents LLM plan and approach using contextual memory. So the reasoning layers is the LLMs. Then if LLM is not sufficient to perform the task, for example, if you are saying book ticket from Bangalore to Delhi, and if they do not have a facility of booking the ticket, if they cannot reach to any of the websites, so they will use this tool calling, because LLM alone is not enough. For example, in chat GPT, if you ask, can you book me the ticket from XYZ to whatever destinations, they will not able to book the ticket. The reason is that they do not have a tool calling facilities or API of any of the booking platforms, right? In the layman terms. So now if there is a tool calling facilities, they can take these external actions if they have the data. Can you see these external actions? LLM alone cannot, they do not have a sufficient informations. That is why they are looking for external help. So external help will only be done through this tool calling. It's like external help. Tool calling is nothing but external help to LLM. We are just helping LLM through this tool calling. It's like external help. We are giving someone, we are empowering someone by giving one another, you can say expert person, right? So to take decisions, right? So it's like tool calling. It's like external help, right? Then we have output produce, whatever, through the prompt, whatever you have given to agentic AI systems, it will produce some of the output. And if there are some actions to be taken, then you are delegating the task, okay? And then synthesizing the results. So, I mean, these are the flow typically you will follow. It's not necessary that every single, 6, 7 steps you will follow. Possibly there would be some of the hybrid approach that you will follow to execute CrewAI end to end. Okay. This is typically happens with, if you work on this, the CrewAI project, if you are using this framework, Agentic AI framework. Okay. So this flow will be there somewhere. Okay. Now, there are process, that I was just talking about. So hierarchical was one of the process. There was something called sequential. I was just talking about, okay, in the Crew AI. For example, the process, if let's say Crew AI is following sequential manner, okay. So in the sequential manner, we have this task execute in a defined order. So I was using this term, this term fixed path, if you remember that. So they will use, this fixed path. They have this defined order. So task one, task two, and task three, let's say. Okay. So they are like predictable outcome and linear pipeline would be there. Clear data handoff between the steps. So this task one will hand off data to task two, and it's easy to debug and also some reasoning, right? So that is why this sequential, a process, I would say, strategy is followed if you are very much sure of the systems. If we want some deterministic result, deterministic means we are very much sure of the outcome, and there is something called probabilistic result. ChatGPT gives you probabilistic result. Okay. The reason is that they have a lot of informations. That is why the hallucination word comes. They may give you factually incorrect answers because they are giving you, the predictable, you can say, okay, probabilistic result. But if you want some of the deterministic, try to follow this sequential path here. So that will eliminate the portion of hallucinations. Now on the right side, we have this hierarchical process, this strategy. So let's say there is some LLM, okay, and they will delegate the task, divide the task to right agent and validate the result. Okay. So in that case, one agent will work, okay. Other agent will also work in a parallel. Okay. It's like dynamic routing. Okay. And then subdividing the task, and the manager agent who are sitting on top of validator agent and write agent will validate the output. It's like a critique agent. Okay. If your task is open-ended, for example, if you are working on a research kind of agent, or let's say essay, if you're writing some essays, so it's like open-ended, right? So in that case, you need, some of the validator, agent to validate your responses. Because if you are, let's say, if you're writing some essay of on XYZ topics, essay could be of, you know, it could be lengthy, right? Can be of 500 words, 1,000 words. But who gonna validate that the whatever written is like factually correct? So we need some of the validator, critical critique agent also. So in that case, you can use this manager agent or a kind of a hierarchical strategy that you can follow. Designing when you're designing this Crew AI. Okay. Now, coming to now we have some of the examples. Okay. For example, let's say if we have some of the, sequential task. Okay, let's say there is a brief topic, a concrete crew AI systems that research a topics, draft content, okay, and review it before publishing. So it's like something which are very linear in nature right now. It's a sequential process. So we use these tools called wave search, scrapper, style linter. So these are the tools, right? So we have some of the topics input, then research writer agent will come, reviewer agent will come. And this published article is like a actions. Okay. So if reviewer agent feels that there is some problem, they can also give it back to the writer. It will give back to the researcher. Okay. So this is how this sequential manner works. And also it's easy to debug in the path that what all is failing and what all are working. So in sequential path, you can easily see that the which all agents are working well. The output we can easily see, right? So this is how you can also work on the capstone project. You can have this researcher, writer, and reviewer agent in one place and create using this CrewAI framework and have these tools in place. These tools are like Wave Scrapper, the Wave Search tools. You can integrate into the systems and create this, the sequential workflows agentic AI systems, right? Now, there are some huge cases that's very much important, and why I have put in this that there is a intention to put this in this slide is to also help you how you can work on the capstone project. I'm just giving you the idea. It's not like to use this slide to create some of your the capstone project, but again, it will help you to draft the agentic AI use case, right? So let's say if you're working on a customer support automation, like a use cases. So you have been asked to create customer support automations, right? Agentic AI systems. Okay. So what all agents you will employ, right? So again, it will have a multiple agent. Okay. There is something called tries agent, resolves agent, and escalation agent, escalator. Okay. We'll also talk about these three things. So whenever we have some customer support, so for example, maybe 10 years back when we have this, customer support of Vodafone, Airtel, if you can remember that, we used to call a lot, right? So there was some of the people who used to, resolve our query, and if they were not able to, they used to escalate to their senior managers. Okay, so first agent will come into play is something called this triage agent. Okay, so what is the task of this person? They will classify your intent and urgency. The first time when you call to any of the Airtel customer support, first they try to understand your problem. Then they classify your intent and the urgency. They give some urgency to it. Okay. So this is the, you can say, the entry point if you're designing the customer support. Okay. So triage agent will classify the intent. Okay. And then it will route the ticket. So it will give this your ticket to resolver agent. Okay. And also they will check that the data is available or not, the person is verified or not. Also how many calls they have made, let's say. Okay. So they will check with their CRM and knowledge base. Okay. So what is this knowledge base again? Knowledge base means the systems, they have your own data in their systems. They will check with both. Okay. And if they find it, okay, it's available. And if they feel it's like in a genuine customer, again, they will escalate it to, the persons who are the responsible to resolve. Okay. So then again, they will, put this kind of solutions to this escalation agent. Okay. And then they will solve it. Okay. So if you see this business problem here, I just drawn, analogy to this Airtel or maybe, this telecom industry, but it could be it could be from the different industry as well. For example, support team drawn in a repetitive task, let's say, and order status, refund, password reset while complex cases wait in the same queue, increasing the resolution time and cost per ticket. That is why this organizations wants to come up with this customer support automations, and they want to use this so that the human in the loop will decrease. Okay, so now once they imply it, you will be able to resolve this 70% of ticket auto resolved. Okay, and the average time would this agentic AI system will take 2 minutes. And also you can give support to 24 seconds once you imply this agentic AI chatbot. Okay, so this is the one of the use cases, and you'll see a lot of automations. AI automation is happening across the industry. The reason is that AI agentic AI systems are able to take actions, because if they employ the humans, they will also take actions. Why not to employ this agentic AI automations, virtual assistant, so that also they can solve our problems 24/7, and also they will cut the revenue. That is why you'll see a lot of jobs are going away. The reason is that adaptation of AI automations, agentic AI in their systems. Why? Because they are taking actions. Okay. Now, coming to yeah, the second use case. I have one more use case. So coming to the second use case, we have this financial research and compliance. Okay. So in this use case, if you see, for example, the industry, they want analyst, what is the issue, right, in this industry, let's say. So the business problem is an analyst spend hours aggregating filings, news, earnings, data before writing a brief, and every brief still needs a compliance pass before it reaches a client. Okay, it's like financial research and compliance. So they have used something like, you can say, hierarchical one. So there would be some lead manager. They have created data agent. So it will pull filings, prices, and news from which tool? Market data API. This is the tool. Analyst agent will build the investment thesis and pull data. This is a tool from financial models. And compliance agent will check disclosures and language through this tool that is called compliance rule set. So every single agent have access to these tools, and then they are serving a same goal that lead manager will validate. Okay, and if you employ this one, will able to reduce this 80% of this data aggregations and 100% of the brief pass through the compliance check. If let's say if you are putting this humans at these three levels, probability of they may miss some of the compliance. Okay, this is the hierarchical strategy. Okay, so employing your agentic AI. Okay, so this is how you can work on few of the use cases. Okay, now okay, coming to third use cases. So the third use cases, it's very interesting for you people coming from the IT background, I assume. So the software engineering and the DevOps. So in the industry, I mean, the AI is nothing but it's like more of a software plus AI. So I would say 60% is software and 40% is the AI stuff, right? So again, if you are coming from the IT background, it will help you a lot. Okay. So a lot of DevOps things, how you are operationalizing your software. If it is AI systems or machine learning models that you want to operationalize, so we use this term called MLOps. If you have a Gen AI or Agentic AI systems, if you want to operationalize it, we call it as a LLM ops. If you have some of the AI systems, the AI IT systems, if you want to operationalize, we call it AI ops. So there are different ops in the market. Okay. But let's say, what is the issue? Let's say the pain point. So the business problem, the pain point, small, well specified tickets, bug fixes, minor feature, test coverage, still consume a senior engineer time. So let's say if you are working as a manager, let's say, and your task is to approve, this PR. It's like, pull request of, let's say, if you are using this GitHub Actions. For example, if you are working on the small portions of a software where you designed the UI, okay, you have changed few things in the UI. Now you have to raise PR. Okay, PR means you will request a pull request. Your manager will check, validate it, and then they will merge into the main code. So it's taking a lot of time of that manager. Okay. And also end to end from code to review, because that guy will review the code also. It's not like they will merge it, they will test it. So don't you think so? It takes a lot of time for that person, right? How we can automate it? How we can use this agentic AI into solving this problem? So the first thing that we will use is planner agent. So whenever we have a ticket, we'll see these steps. So there would be some of the code base. So this planner agent will check the code base. Let's say you have written in Java or Python. They will check. Okay. Then there will be something called coder agent. Okay. So they will write the unit test. Okay. Then there would be a reviewer agent. They will also run test. Okay. If there are some changes following, they will update you. And then we have a doc agent. They will have something called a PR descriptions, pull request. If there are some changes, they are the one, they will validate it. Okay. So in this case, we are able to solve this issue up to 40%. Okay. And it will be faster. Let's say earlier it takes 3 days. Now it will take 1 day, and it's a consistent. Okay. And also we have a document already. So whatever changes or the senior manager has done will be documented here. So we have a 4 agents replacing the senior manager and automating the DevOps operations using agentic AI. Okay. So that is why we also need to know that if you are working on any of the agentic AI use cases, what your use cases aims at. Okay. First thing that is more important, and what you are trying to solve. The business use case must be in your mind. But again, the metrics that I'm trying to show you, that if you employ this one into any of the enterprise level, organizations, what they are going to solve. Are they solving some, reducing the time, cost, effort? Are they, kind of, I would say how much it is accelerating the, the task. Okay. So these things you have to keep in mind, that what you are trying to solve, and try to quantify it also. Okay. Then you will become a good, I would say, AI engineer. Okay. So let's, okay. Now there are a few things that I'll discuss, but let's give, you people 10 minutes break. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think you will. And then I'll show you the some of the code. So 10 minutes break. Okay, 1 minute. Let me share my screen. Okay. So hope My screen visible? Can anybody confirm, please?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So we have, now we have foundation stone of AI agentic AI, agentic workflows, and we have also seen in terms of a crew AI, few of the use cases that what all we can solve, right? Up to now, we are very much clear. So yesterday I had shown you the code that how we can implement it using this crew AI. Okay. So something I just want to explain, there are three things, multi-agent, agentic AI workflows. Okay. So I will be sharing you this entire code. You don't need to worry about. Okay. And there is something that I just want to discuss it, that how you are going to use it. Okay. Because again, you have to rely on two things. One thing is LLM you need, and other thing is a tool. Because if you work on AI agent or agentic AI, you need two things. Minimum requirement is two things. One is LLM, so for that you need an API, and if you need a tool, also you need an API for that tool. Okay, in majority of the time, so you need two APIs. Okay, just remember that. And I'm also giving you a clue that how, if someone has given you this, let's say a code base, how you can read it. Three things I'm just going to teach here so that it will make your life easy. Okay, it's not about the coding. Coding, we can have it, but how you're going to read it, interpret it easily. That is more important. Okay. So there is something called single agent. Okay. So what was the single agent? We had a discussion. So here we have a wave research analyst. Okay. This is one, a simple, AI agent I had shown you as a demo. So this agent, wave research agent, what this agent was doing was using fire crawl tool. This word is important. Okay. And they were using this Claude, this agent. It means they are talking about this LLM. Okay. So one tool plus LLM. Okay. In this wave search research agent is using. Okay. So once you go down, okay. So something I discussed today was agent, crew. I talked about the process. If I just hover it, just see. If I hover it, it's module. So CrewAI in a Python right now is a module, is importing agent. So what is the role of agent? Let's see. It is saying each agent has a role, goal and backstory. An optional language model, LLM is also there. Okay. So whenever you see an agent, it's again an LLM. Okay. So agent can have a memory and can operate in verbose mode and can delegate tasks to other agent. So it is the agent who can instruct some other agent to do this. Delegating means dividing the task to other agents. Okay. So, and the attributes they use is agent, executor, role and goal. Okay. Now hover it to here. What is a crew then? It's a represent a group of agents. For example, have you seen the crew members in the aeroplane, right? So the crew members represent a group of agent. We can't say that XYZ person. When we say a crew, we are referring to a group of people. Okay. Uh, Group of, you can say air hostesses in terms of airlines. Okay. So here it's a group of agents defining how they should collaborate and task they should perform. Okay. It's a crew. Okay. Then we have a process. So once I hover it a process, it's a class representing the different processes that can be used to tackle task. Okay. And now we have a task. Once I hover it, it says class represent a task to be executed. So each task must have a descriptions, an expected output, an agent responsible for executions. And what all this task class has an attributes, something called agent. There is a word called async executions. Async executions means a parallel executions. If in the Python code, if you see, there is a term called async def, ASYNC DEF. It means that function is working asynchronously. Okay. So, I mean, this is how we try to interpret whenever you see a Python code. Okay. Now, if I hover it, what it says, it's a module. And this is the class. This is a tool again. And the argument they are using is API keys. Okay. And they will use keys. So this tool is giving external help to agent to perform the task of wave research, the wave research analyst task. Okay. So if you go down, we are loading the key of fire crawl. Okay. So if you see, this is also a function, load fire crawl key. Okay. And it is in the config file. If I go into the config.py, if I go, you'll see this is one of the functions. Okay. Load, crew, LLM, all these things are there. Okay. If I go down. Okay. So there are a lot of things are inside this. And if you also see, there are models which are used. So LLM provider, Grok model that I have used. And the specific model that I have used is Grok Llama 33.70 versatile. We can also change. And the Claude model, right now I'm not connecting with the Claude model using the Grok, but this is a Claude model. And if you see, there is a def function and it holds load, fire crawl key. Okay, so this is the, the function. So if I go here and where I was, if I go into single agent, you see this is the function, it is loaded from config.py. Okay. And then we have this something called reasoning layer, get LLM. Okay. If you go into config file, if you go down, okay, go down. So this is the one function. Can you see? This is the one function. And the another function is get LLM. Can you see? This is another function. Okay. And if you go down, these all LLMs are used here right now. Okay. And then also if LLM provided, let's say this Claude is not available, then look for this one. Okay, this. And in return, there is error and everything. Okay, if key is not working. So right now, I have hit this rate limit because of the free API I was using. So I will explain how you people have to use it. Okay, so don't worry. And also this is how we are taking care of if there are keys not working, then you have to give this, the output. If you see, I'll run it and you'll see there is a rate limit thing is raised today. Okay. So there is a no need to worry. I'll tell you how to, run this uh, Python script. Okay. Now, if I go down, so we have a two functions loaded here, get LLM and this file crawl tools. That is a scrapping tool. Okay. So if I go up, so if I go down, there is a research analyst agent. So let me hover it here. So it's a variable. Again, it's an agent. It's a main agent. And what was the, what we all can define within this agent? Role, goal, and backstory. Okay. As it is an agent, your research analyst is an agent. What agent we can assign? Role, goal, and backstory. These are the three functions. And we are also giving tool to this agent because agent alone cannot work. So we are giving some extra helping hand using tool and this LLM. So whenever agent has access to tool and LLM, it work as a AI agent. Okay, so that is why I'm just giving an idea how to check whether it is an agent, it is following AI agentic or AI agent path or not. You'll check whether it has any tool calling or taking help of an LLM. LLM is a by default, but look for the tools if they are calling any tools. Okay, so this is a research analyst agent. Now go down. There is task delegations, you can say. So once you are also giving, defining task, for example, summarizing. So you are giving task, right? Just to summarize it. So we are giving descriptions, kind of examples you are giving, and expected output. that I was just talking about. So we will give one example and one expected output to the agent. And this is a task that agent will perform. Okay. Now, if I go down, now you have to start. Okay. You have to run the crew. So now what crew will do? They have this research analyst agent. We have given this task. And also we are saying follow this sequential path. Once they will scrap it, they will summarize it, then you have to follow, then you have to give the output. This is sequential. Got it? We are not putting it a hierarchical or parallel. So this is a process that we discussed today, that which strategy you will use. It's a sequential, right? The group. So we are wrapping one agent within this crew and then we will run it. Then it will fly. Okay, kick off. Now, if I go down, so this thing is required here. So once you kick off these things we discussed, that crew.kickoff. So whenever this we will run this Python script, it will kick off. And it will, whatever there in this website, it will scrap. Okay. It will summarize. Then a researcher agent will have this summary on everything. Okay. So it will run in a sequence. Got it? So this is how it works. Okay. Now, this is a single agent. Now there is something called multiple agent. So let me explain this. What is a multiple agent here? The same thing is there with the multiple agent. If I go down, you'll see the same definitions. We have import, crew, process, and task. But before I explain this one, there are two things that I just want to explain you. The first thing is your requirement.txt file. Okay, so let me go here, requirement.txt. So whatever libraries or classes you are saying, somewhere it is stored in requirement.txt. It is there. So the CrewAI tools, Firecrawl or Python.environment. Okay, it is coming from environmental variable. So first, whenever you look into any of the generative or agentic AI applications, if you have a code base, first thing your first task would be to go and check what all library they have used. So you look for requirement.txt in the code base and you will check. So here you see the CrewAI they have used. So what you will think? So they are using this framework, CrewAI framework. Okay. And once you see Firecrawl, it means they have used tool calling. Okay. And then you look for .env file. Now, where is .env file? This one. So now you will go to .environmental and you will check that the what all is inside this environmental file. Means whether they have used any LLM tools and every single information is there in .environment. Okay. So if you see there is a one LLM. So now you'll see that, okay, they have used this Grok LLM provider. And the tool is this. This is the API. And this is a Grok API. What I was discussing that agent equal to AI agent equal to LLM plus tool. Okay. So LLM is Grok here. They provide you LLM and API key. Without API key, you can't do anything. Then again, Firecrawl is a tool. And again, you see there is an API. Okay. So you have to depend on, in any of the GenAI agentic AI systems, we have to depend on APIs. That is the real story. Okay. If you know how to integrate API, how to use API in AI systems, you are very much comfortable working on any of the agentic AI agent as a AI engineer or maybe generative AI engineer, if you know how to use it. Okay. So now I am dependent on two APIs. If let's say, if this API has some of the limitations, can I work? No. If let's say, if it says that only you can use, only 5 questions you can ask. After that, can I? No, right? So that is the dependency here. If you're using open source APIs, right now I'm using open source. Okay. So these two, APIs I am dependent on. But now these two files we have seen, requirement.txt and .env. Now we are very good to go. Now let me again go to multi-agent.py to explain you.
So in multi-agent, it means there are more than one agent is used. In single agent, I showed you that it's the single task that they were doing internally. But what if they have a multiple agents working together? So if you see up to here, it is the same that we had in this single agent. Okay. This was the function in the config file. This is the tool calling and this is the LLM. Okay. And the API keys, whatever there, we are loading it. Okay. Now, if I go down, there is something called a researcher agent first. And this is an agent. Okay. So researcher agent, okay, will do the work of research. And in the researcher agent, what we are saying, we are giving role, goal, and backstory. So what is the role of researcher agent? It is saying senior research specialist. We are saying you behave as a senior research specialist and find accurate up-to-date informations from the topic. So this you will pass as a prompt. If you see in this one, curly braces, the topic you will pass. Okay. And what is the back story? You are an expert researcher. It's like a persona, right? You search the web with Firecrawl, evaluate sources critically, and collect the most relevant facts. Okay, this is the backstory. Giving, role to researcher has a goal and has a backstory. And then again, with this agent, we are giving tool and also LLM. We are not saying that alone you do it. For example, if in your home someone is telling you to do some task, if they are not giving you a helping hand, can you do that a complex task? No, right? So here we are also giving agent. We are saying, okay, you work as a senior research specialist, and I am giving you two more persons to help you. Okay, one is expert, one is a subject matter expert, and one is will give you external help to this agent. Got it? This is how you interpret it. Okay. Now let me go down. One is a researcher agent. Another one we have is a writer agent. Okay. They will write it. And this is also one agent. Okay. They have a role. What is the role of this writer agent? Technical content writer. Turn a new research notes into clear, engaging articles and topic you will pass as a prompt and has a backstory. You are a skilled writer who transform research findings into well-structured, easy-to-read articles for a general audience. And what we are giving to, we are just giving LLMs to writer agent because this guy will only write it, the content coming from the research agent. That is why you are not giving tool to this guy. We're only saying, okay, you just need a subject matter expert, and here subject matter expert is only LLM, right? Now, if I go down, there is also a task now. We have a two agent. One is researcher, other one is writer. Now we are assigning task. What is the task now? One is a research task. What would be the task of this, the researcher? There is a descriptions and there is expected output that we expect from this research task to come out. The first description is use a Firecrawl search tool to research and topic again you will pass through the prompt. Gather the most important and research facts, trends and examples. Is there any questions? An expected output. Is there anyone questions? No, right. So expected output is a bullet point list of a 6 to 10 keys, finding about topics, each with a short note on why it matters and where it comes from. This is the expected output for the research task. And this task we are assigning to researcher. Okay, we are assigning it to researcher. If I go up, so this is a researcher agent and every single agent will assign with a task. Now there is a writer task we will assign to writer. What would be the task of this writer agent? Will use a research findings, write a 400 words articles about these topics, make it informative and accessible to non-experts. Okay. And what would be the expected output? That a writer will perform a polished article with a title, a short intro, 2-3 body sections, with the healings and a brief conclusions. And we are attaching this task to writer. Okay, and context we are attaching. Okay, now we'll start the crew. Last one. We are starting this crew, and it will follow a sequential manner. We are not following this hierarchical or parallel. It's a sequential process, and then have it will run it. And what is the topic that we have passed? AI agent in 2026. This is the research topics. That is why you see topics in a this curly braces. Okay. Now if you run it, you'll have the output. Okay. Now again, coming to this agentic workflow, let me explain and then we'll change the keys because there is a rate limit. Okay. Now, coming to this agentic AI workflows. Okay. So once we have these workflows, multiple agent we understood. But when it comes to agentic AI workflows, how are you are going to understand? So in this agentic AI workflow, a tool orchestrating multiple steps. It's a stateful workflows where we can control the sequence, data flows between the steps, okay, as opposed to crew where agents are self-organized. Steps are wired together with a start and listen, okay, the two things we'll see. This workflow scrap a product company page, then routes the scrap text through a crew of two agents. Let's see how. If I go down, there is something called scrap page at a start and analyze and recommend that will listen. Okay, so there are two agents working together. One is analyst agent, second one is a strategist agent. Okay, so they will have a URL, scrapped content, and final report carried in a typical pydantic model. This is also a framework. Okay, and we'll see that the how it is implemented. So this is the pydantic is again one of the module. It's a framework. Okay, so don't get confused about this pydantic one. Okay, now if you go down, things are same because they also need a tools, agent, crew, process, and task. The same thing, but the extra thing we have added is a pydantic. It's again a Python module, and they can import this base model. Okay. Now, if I go down, we have the same things, right? LLM plus tools. Now, if I go down, there is something that this pydantic will have from this anthropic.com. So they are scrapping the content and the report. So that is why it's in a string. Okay. If I go down, okay. So there is some market research flow. Okay. So what this flow is gonna do? Scrap a company page. This is a class. Okay. So if you hover it here, so scrap a company page, then analyze it and produce a strategy report. Okay, this class will do and has this as a start. So they will start performing it. This is within this class, there is a function. So this function, what this function will do? This will scrap the page. Okay. And it is saying single agent scrap the target page, whatever target page is from the anthropic.com. Okay. And this scrapper agent has a role of a web scrapper. Goal is extract the full readable content. And backstory is obviously the pulling the clean text and giving this agent access to tool because Firecrawler is required. And once they have a content, we need an LLM to pass through so that we people can understand human like a response. Okay. So within this function definitions, within this class, okay, we have all the agents defined here. Okay. And also this agent, whatever agent we have to assign the task to agent. Here we are just activating the agent, and this agent we are giving task to. Okay. So what is the task of this agent? scrap the page, whatever URL we are passing, self.state.url. So we'll pass the URL, okay? And it will have this textual content as expected output, okay? And this we are kicking off this screw. Then only the agent will start working, okay? Now, if you go down, there is also one of the functions you can say, okay, listen, okay. So here, it's like uh, uh, you know analyze and recommend, okay. This is another functions. So they will, whatever they have this extract content coming from above function, they will analyze it. So here the second agent, the analysis agent, analyst agent, will analyze the content coming from a strategy, writes a strategy, okay. So analyst will analyze the content and write a strategy here, okay. So what is the role of this analyst agent? Is market analysis and identify whether a company does its positioning or what is this strength, okay. And backstory is, obviously you have to read the company material and extract sharp business insights. We are only giving LLM, not giving tools here, because analysts need to just analyze it. That is why tool is not there, okay. And then we have a third agent, a strategist agent, will turn analysis into some of the strategy and actionable recommendations. And what is the big backstories? You have to advise the company, okay. And some of the growth opportunity we have to advise the company people, okay. And also, if you see, there is a LLM, we are not giving tools because they will do analysis, so they need some of the LLMs to give response in a human like, in the natural language, the both the tools, both the both the agents. Now if I go to the third agent, now we will assign the task to two agents, right? So analyst agent has these descriptions and output, expected output, if you see. So what is the descriptions for this agent, analyst agent? We have to analyze the following content and summarize it. And what is the company's offerings, target audience? These all things are the descriptions as a task assigned to this analyst agent. Okay, and also we are saying that the what would be the expected output once you do this task will be the concise analysis, okay, offerings, audience, these all things will be there as expected output. Again, we are assigning task to a strategist agent, okay. What is the task? Based on the analyst finding, this strategist has to produce 3-5 specific priorities, kind of recommendations, so that the company's strength will increase and the market value will increase, market positions. And what are the expected output? A list of recommendations, each with some rationale, some of the logics, some of the references, right? And then we are starting the crew, okay? And then we have this report that will generate and give us the final report, okay? So this is how our agent will work, okay? So now we have used some of the API. If you go into .env, okay, this API, fire crawl. Okay, so let me stop my screen and we'll look for these APIs and Grok APIs, okay? So now let me share my screen, entire screen. Where are you? Is my screen visible? Can anybody confirm?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you go to this screen, is there anyone has no question? Okay, good. So if you go to this fire crawl, okay, have to use and just I'll share the code, okay. Just need to change the APIs, okay. It will work. So let me check if I'm able to still. Okay, if you go here, Okay, we'll have this free plan. Okay, and try to log in and have this APIs. Okay, because these are build one 15Ks. This is my current plan. Okay, and now let me go to Grok API. Let me create it. Let me check if I'm able to do that. Yeah, so let me just run it. Only team owner, what it's saying, what it says. Okay, let me create it. If I'm able to create it, I'll say multi-agent crew AI. Okay, and no expirations. You have to no expirations. Either you can select 90 days, 30 days, whatever. Okay, right now I'm selecting no expiration. Okay, and I'll submit it. Okay, and you will have this API on the screen. This is the API. Okay. Now let me go to, it's like a where I'm okay. Let me again share my screen. Hope it is visible to you. 1 minute. Mhm. Yeah. So if you go, so I have only changed this Grok API I have taken. So let me do one thing. I'll write the same thing. Okay. Grok API key. Yeah. Equal to whatever I have. I'm just copying pasting it here. Okay. And I'm just commenting it here. And I'm saying from here, save all. Okay. And let's check if it works for us or not. Okay. Because once you run it, once you have these applications, okay, we have run it yesterday. If you can check it, okay. 3 agentic workflows that we have. Okay. So there was a executions already that we have done. Okay. Now do one thing. Was the previous API. Okay. Now just go here and create another terminal. Okay. And let's check whether it works for us or not. Okay. The virtual environment is created. Okay. So let me write Python. We'll write Python. Okay. And this agentic workflows, let's run it. I have changed the API keys. Let's see if rate limiting is coming for us or not. Okay. Because I have changed the API keys. Let's check. Let's see if it executes or not. Okay, before it execute, okay. So meanwhile, can you see my screen? Is my screen visible, right? Is my screen visible, PPT?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Okay. No issues. Let's that run it and we'll see few things apart from this one. So it can save some time, okay? So I mean for this AI agent that we talked about, okay. So for example, we have okay. So we have had this AI agent, okay. we discussed. So this was, you can say, more of atomic unit. So what AI agent typically was doing, perceptions, reasoning, and acting using this LLM, and had this tool access and memory. Right now, we are only working on tools. In the coming classes, I'll show you how we have to work on this memory part also, because need to store the previous conversations that require some of the cloud platform. Okay. And the agentic AI, what I discussed was more of a autonomous things, had this goal-driven systems, okay, can do this planning and acting and have the minimal human input. That is why people are working on agentic AI, because they just want to eliminate human input, okay, minimal human input they want. As the systems can do work autonomously, planning and acting, so people are working on this agentic AI. Few of the AI agent people work for the fixed workflows, but the agentic workflows is something once we have, I have shown you that agentic workflows, we have to follow, some of the pattern, orchestration pattern, which flow you want to follow. For example, your use case is to have this sequential flow. The output of one depend on the input to other, right? So in that case, you have to have this sequential in place. Hierarchically, if you want some of the leaders on the top who, let's say if you want to delegate the task to two people and then you want to review it that who has done well, right? So in that case, you go with this hierarchical pattern, right? Then this parallel one, then you want to save some time of, if in that case, if the task is to save some time, so you want the multiple agent to work parallelly and then achieve the common goal. So in that case, you have this parallel, agentic workflow in a place. And CrewAI is again, it's as it says, agent plus task plus tools, and then it activates the process. Okay, so this is the CrewAI typically. Okay, so let's see that whether this VS Code is working for us or not now. So it is working. Okay, so let me go up. Okay, what it has done for us. So as we were discussing about these agentic workflows, what they have done for us. Okay, agentic workflows. We have run it agentic workflows. Okay. So if you go up, I go up or not. Okay. If you go up, they have these tool executions. Okay. So tool has scrapped whatever was there in anthropic.main, whatever they have. If you see, if I go down like this, let me go. Uh, let me go like this. Okay. So if you go like this, is there any way? No. Okay. To follow like this. Okay. So if you see the tools in the agentic workflows that we have discussed was one of the tools, and we have passed that this you can say more of the tools that were the wave scrapper tool was there, and the task they have completed, so they have scrapped the informations. Okay, so let me scroll down a bit. So whatever was there in anthropic.com, the page, whatever the information they have extracted whatever they had access to through this open AI, the keys, the open source keys. Now, what agent has done, the wave scrapper agent, has final output. It is saying the provided output is not in the correct format. However, based on the information provided, here is the complete text context of the web page. If you see, they are also working autonomously, right? They also had output not in the correct format, but still they had tried to complete the wave informations, whatever they were provided in some of the structured format, right? The wave scrapper agent. That is why agent, we call it a smart agent, right? So what they have, summarized it, the wave scrapper, I would say that Anthropic is an AI safety and research company that's working to build reliable, interpretable, and stable AI systems. AI will have a vast impact on the world. Anthropic is a public benefit, these corporations dedicated to securing its benefits and mitigating its risk. Okay, so again, the wave scrapper had, structured the information, whatever was provided. So this is the output coming from the agent, wave scrap. Let me scroll down. And we have a lot of information. In United States, we have found a unicorn using this. So a lot of informations are there. Okay. But they have made in a some structured format. If you go down, some of the informations are coming from 2026. Why it is coming from? The reason is that the wave scrapper agent is able to scrap data from the internet and they have the recent data. If we have used only LLMs, they would have given the older data. That wouldn't serve our purpose. Okay. So let me go down. If I go down, a lot of informations are coming from wave, wave scrapper. This is again a tool. Now, let me go down slowly and let's check what all other agent has done. Now, task. What task this agent has done? The task completed, if you see. The task is completed. And the name, scrap the page, and we have passed this website, anthropic.com, and the agent was involved. Which agent was involved? Was wave scrapper agent was involved to execute this task. Okay. Now, if you go down the crew, then the crew has started their operations. Okay. So if you go down, also you'll see there is ID of the crew. Okay. And the final output, if you see, they have summarized it kind of. Provided output is not the correct format. However, they have provided in some of the structured format. Okay, the same thing that we are talking about. Because of the open, you can say the keys that we have used. Okay, the open source. They have a limited, we can say, the information that they can extract. So the method is a scrap page completed. You will see this kind of a thing, message coming. Okay, flow is there. Also, we have a tracing status. As tracing is disabled, okay, so you will not get some of the informations because in the .env file tracing is disabled. Now if you go down, a lot of informations are there. Okay, so agent, market analyst agent has started. Okay, so there was a market analyst agent was there. Okay, so this agent has analyzed the content, summarized the offerings for us. Okay, and provided the information. So market analyst is summarizing the company's offerings. Okay, now if you go down, a lot of informations, whatever they have able to extract. Okay, and the agent final answer is there. So one was the, the final answers that this market analyst agent is giving us is what they are giving us. They are saying Anthropic is a AI safety, AI research development, working to build advanced AI systems. We have this project, glass wings or something, AI capabilities they are extending. So they are giving you in a summarized format this market analyst once they have this agent scrapped. Okay, so if you see, there are the key strength. Okay, what is the key strength of this Anthropic? Okay, so I mean there are a lot of informations able to have in one plate. Okay, it's having the everything. Even they are also giving you the gaps. What are the gaps? So what are the gaps? Limited informations on commercial applications, dependence on expertise, regulatory issue is there, ethical issue is there. So they are also giving us some of the gaps. Okay, and the task completed. Whatever we have given to the crew are doing this. And also there was a strategist, growth strategist agent was there. And if you see their responses, recommendations that they have given us. So what recommendations they have given us? So based on the analysis of Anthropic offerings, target audience, key strength and gaps, the following priorities recommendations are designed. Okay, what recommendations they have given? So develop and communicate clear commercial applications for AI systems. This is one of the recommendations they have given. And what they are saying, if you go down, they are saying expand education and training initiative to address the dependence on expertise. This is the second recommendations they have given. And the third recommendation is establish a regulatory and ethical compliance with say. Okay, there are a few challenges of this ethical and regulatory. The reason is that if you developing and publishing a comprehensive set of guidelines, principles for the responsible development and deployment of AI systems, because if you see, a lot of people are using LLMs in different way to deceive the systems, right? So that is why regulations are more important. So our this strategist agent is giving us some of the recommendations in bullet point that you have to do this based on the whatever data we have provided. Okay. Now coming to this fourth, I would say, uh, recommendations. We have these collaborations and everything. So a lot of recommendations they have given. Okay, and the crew completions. So things it's in one plate. Okay, flow and everything is there. Okay, so this task typically worked for us. Okay, so let's see if multi-agent works for us or not. We have changed this, 0 to multi-agent. Okay, dot py. Let's see. This is okay. There's a word, I think Python 0 to multi-agent. Let's see if it works for us or not. So again, I'll share the code to you people, okay? And try to change, the Firecrawl API and LLM from the Grok, that two API, just change in within this .env. And the way I have run it, try to run it. All these three files. One is single agent.py, multi-agent.py, and this agentic workflow. There are three files. The way it is, okay? Then it will run. And then try to understand that what all I have explained you, the code also. So what code is doing and how I can make changes and try to understand it, that the which use cases you can create using these workflows, right? Using this CrewAI. That is more important for us. Okay. So let's check whether this second multi-agent works for us or not. So it will take time. So let's wait a few seconds. Okay, whether it works for us or not. Okay, let's wait and let's execute it. Let's done. There's something I just wanted to show. Time clock, no. There is something called semantic kernel. Okay, so I'll explain next week. Okay. So, but let me give you an idea what is semantic kernel. Okay. So if you go and see this semantic kernel, we'll see this logo like this. Okay. So don't get confused about this semantic kernel. Okay. So let me have this diagram here on the screen. Okay. And this in the semantic kernel, if you see, it is agentic framework of Microsoft. Okay. The way the
Yes,
Crew
sir.
AI, yeah.
So your VS Code screen is visible, so we can't see the semantic kernel.
Okay. One minute. VS Code thing. Okay. Okay. So, okay. Let me. Yeah. Okay. Let me share my screen where I was. Just come to this screen. Semantic kernel. Sorry, I thought I shared the entire screen. Okay. So let me go back first. Now my screen is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if you go, this Microsoft page, this page basically semantic kernel I'm sharing you. Yeah. So let's share it to you. Open it and try to have a kind of explorations. So I mean, if you see this one, there is something called semantic kernel. So this is again a framework, open source, but developed by Microsoft. Okay. So if you want to integrate to your AI this agent and the this agentic framework, semantic kernel. So this is also in the .NET and a Python, but we'll understand it only in the Python. Okay. So now why I taught this CrewAI is that the base is again the CrewAI format. Okay. So that is why once you have a bit understanding of CrewAI, you can take up other agentic framework as well. So if you see, they have these plugins and hooks. Okay. Don't get confused by the hooks and filters. Okay. So plugins are again a kind of way of like APIs somehow, right? And also the hooks, also the external systems that we need to have, uh, you know, uh, put in place for this agent orchestration. So the same way, like for example, CrewAI use as an orchestrator, semantic kernel also we will take it as a orchestrator, like a semantic kernel. Okay. And the beauty of the semantic kernel is that it's available in C Sharp, Python, and we have also in the .NET, right? And Java also, I think. But I have worked on using this Python only. Okay. So Indian industry people use it using Python only. Okay. So there are a few components. Okay, we will discuss in the next class. So for example, there is a semantic kernel. Just think of a CrewAI. So CrewAI, the way we have implemented CrewAI, it's like a similar but have some different component also. They need plugins, and these plugins are attached to this one of the LLM, and this is your applications. Okay, so semantic kernel will take help of plugins, and plugins are attached to this LLM. So plugin is a central point, have interface the semantic kernel and this LLM. Okay, this will facilitate, and this can only be done using semantic kernel. That is why app is nothing but chatbot, virtual assistant. So whenever we will ask any questions, relevant questions, okay, so semantic kernel will orchestrate and give, you can say directions to plugins. If plugins has the information, it's okay. Otherwise, reach out to the LLM. Okay, so this is how it works, and we'll talk about few things which are very interesting because at enterprise level, semantic kernels are used extensively. Okay, and also this is Microsoft based, so we have a lot of things. Okay, that will I'll talk about. Okay, so there is also vector storage connectors. There is functions and plugins. It is again tools. So whenever you see functions, it's more of a tools only. Okay, so semantic kernel, you will see there are few. I'll show you that how you can write a prompt templates. This is a kernel plugins. Okay, and these all plugins are attached. Okay, and for that to orchestrate, we need a semantic kernel, and it is connected to AI models and services. Okay, so this is how it typically works. Okay, and it will work very well. Okay, so we'll see few of the applications using semantic kernel. Okay, so the prompt template is there, and then you'll write some of the prompt template, and then we'll have access to some of the models and output. So it's like similar to, not same, but similar to CrewAI, and because the tools functions, but there is a difference. Few things are different, and so that that is why in the enterprise level we have a different applications that people use it for, using this semantic kernel. Not they are using the CrewAI, but again because of the safeties and all that, CrewAI is sorry, this semantic kernel is used extensively. Okay, so these things we'll see in the coming classes. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so what I will be sharing the code, okay, to you people. Okay, why not? Is there anything that I need to share? Okay, let me share my screen again. Entire screen. Okay, so if you see this one, the code and everything I will be sharing, so no need to worry. And this script. Okay, so it's like a full screen or what? Okay, you can see my full screen, right? Okay, there is one more framework. Hope my screen is visible. Okay, AutoGen. Okay, so once you see this AutoGen, it's looks different, may look different to you. But again, AutoGen also you can compare it with this CrewAI. Okay, so they have some of the skills, tools, and sources, and AutoGen will act as an orchestrator. Okay, so if you see this one, there is something similar that even all the agentic frameworks has. So today I taught you that there would be some LLM access and the tools. So there are only two things. Maybe the way they have implemented, they keep the name different. Maybe they call it a file calling, file access, file connector, MCP. But again, they are in the APIs, either in the form of tools. Okay. And they will have access to the LLMs. So if you see here also, there is an LLMs. Okay. So don't look things at, like if there are different agentic framework, so they will have something, different, but they have the base things. There will be some LLM and there will be some tool calling. Maybe the tool they call it, maybe it may have the different path, but again they will have these two things at least, okay, inbuilt in. So that is why don't look all the agentic framework in isolations. Look at things in the parallel. Like what is the parallel? If I taught you CrewAI, semantic kernel, AutoGen, len graph, so what is so common about all these things, and how and what sort of use cases we people can solve, right? That is also important, because every single use case can't be solved through, the CrewAI, can't be solved through this len graph, and again through the semantic kernel. So the use case is something that makes in the selection of these agentic framework, right? So that is the idea of these sessions, to make you aware that the which all framework that we will be using it. Okay, so even I'm just trying to tell you that these framework that will in coming classes will try to execute it. Okay, so it's a again every single agents are more of the industry ready, I would say, and it is being used in industry. Okay, anybody has any questions so far? Any question? And before that, let me show you something. Also try to explore this Hugging Face. There is something called small agent. Okay, a small agent. So once you search this one, hope it is visible. My screen is visible. Okay. Let me also type in this agent. Okay, a small agent. Yeah. So once you type in this small agent, I think. Okay. So you'll see is something emoji like this. Okay. So this is also a Hugging Face agents. Okay, and try to gather some of the informations about this small agent. Okay, so if you see, there is something called a small agents. Okay, and there are tools. Have you heard of this DuckDuckGo search tools? Okay, if you haven't, then I'll in the next class I'll use this DuckDuck search tool, that how this will also help you in the tool calling. Okay, so this small agent is also agentic framework of through this Hugging Face. Okay, so there are a lot of things that if you want to explore in agentic framework, you can. So I'm just giving you this. Also you can explore this small agent. So I'm just typing it here in the chat, and you can use it in small agent also. Okay, so let me just type in here a small agent. Okay, try to have an idea about this what all this small agent can do for you. Okay, so this is not used much, but again at your level, try to implement this small agent. Okay, how it works. Okay, so this is something that I just wanted to convey to you. Okay, any questions if anybody has? Okay, any questions?
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
Sir, I want to ask, like in the analyst and strategist agent, we are providing an LLM, but not a tool. So how we are calling it an agent?
Okay, so there is something called framework, right? So AI agent and the framework, because it is operating within the umbrella of the agents. I know from where you are asking this question. So I told you that AI agent is equal to LLM plus tool. It is not like every single agent who are operating within the CrewAI framework will have access to tools. If one of the agent are using tools, it is AI agent. Got it?
Yes, sir.
It's not like every single agent will have access to tool, because researcher agent will only do analysis which are coming from the scrapper agent. But a scrapper agent alone cannot work. They need a tool because they need to scrap data from internet. Okay, that is why they have a tool with LLM. But writer agent or a strategist agent doesn't have a tool, because why? Because they have already data. They need to have a reasoning, a human-like content they want to put in. That is why LLM was there. Okay. But overall, under the CrewAI or any other agentic framework, LLM plus tool calling is happening in any of the agent. We'll call it as a AI agent or agentic AI if they are taking actions. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Any questions? I think then we will wrap up session today. Any questions? I'm pausing for 30 seconds. Okay. If not, then let's close today's session and let's meet next week, and then we'll take up a next agentic framework from there. Okay. So thank you so much for participating and kind of interactive sessions. Okay. Thank you so much.